friends, and welcome to the introduction video to the Granny Square Cocoon Cardigan series. I'm Emily, your guide behind the camera of Doodle and Strings YouTube channel. I am so excited to start the first series in what I hope to be many crochet along and tutorial videos. So before we jump right into our pattern, I wanted to take some time to walk through all the things we're going to need to be prepared for the Granny Square Cocoon Cardigan. The pattern we will be using is from spoonsandhooks.com with some mild modifications from yours truly. All the links you will need will be in the description below. If you are a seasoned crochet guru, you will probably already know most of what we will be discussing in this video. I still invite you to keep watching because there may be some information that could be helpful regarding hooks, yarn, and other accessories. If you are a beginner to crochet, I want to say welcome to the fiber community. I am so glad you've decided to learn a very fun new skill in crochet. In order to make what may be a first project for many of you go as smoothly as possible, we're going to talk about yarn, hooks, and other basic supplies. Please know that nothing in this video is sponsored. This is just my personal recommendations and opinions. So first up, my favorite part of starting any pattern is choosing yarn. In every crochet pattern, there is a specific type of yarn that is called for. Let me emphasize this. You do not have to use the exact yarn a pattern calls for. What matters the most when it comes to yarn for patterns is matching the weight of the yarn so that it's the same as what the pattern calls for. In the Granny Cocoon pattern that we're going to be using, the yarn that is being used is called Lion Brand Heartland. Sorry, my ball's really messed up. This was left over from a hat I did around Christmas time. So you can see on the ball band, and I know it's a little dark on this particular yarn, there's going to be something that says medium 4. And it's gonna, usually it looks like a little yarn ball that's on there. Don't know if the camera's getting it, but yeah, that's gonna tell you what size of yarn that this is. You're gonna look for this size 4 medium weight. And a lot of times this type of yarn, this weight, a size 4, is called worsted weight. Worsted weight yarn is probably the easiest, cheapest, and more readily available yarn to use. Sorry, it's my dog walking around. There's several brands, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different brands, and they're all going to be kind of different price points. They're all worsted weight size 4 yarns, and they will be acceptable and great to use for this pattern. So the first one we're going to talk about is one that I know a lot of people have, which is Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. This is a very good yarn. It is just a very basic acrylic. It's very soft. This is fabulous. Totally use this for your Granny Square cocoon that we're going to be doing. This is a great option. It's very affordable. My ball is saying $3.99 USD. I know that there's a lot of sales that go on. I actually don't live in the States. I do visit my family there often. So, you know, just check the sales and always shop the sales. So you'll probably need 3, 6, 9, 12, 5 balls, 4, 5. I'd say 4 balls of I Love This Yarn to do your Granny Square cocoon. So it's a good option. Of course, you can use Heartland if you choose. That is more expensive. It's totally an option, and the pattern will tell you how many balls to buy. Another one, which is surprising. I know a lot of people do not like Craftsmart, which is a Michaels brand. It's kind of their cheap brand of yarn. However, as of March of 2020, I believe, they changed their formula. This stuff feels almost identical to the Hobby Lobby stuff. So this is great. Yeah, Craftsmart, the new stuff, definitely. This is a great starter yarn. I am so impressed with this. I believe I only paid like $2.50 Canadian for a ball. Actually, it might have been $2. I think it was 5 for $10 sale that was going on. So yeah, this was great. Great value. Definitely check out the Craft Smart at Michael's if you have a Michael's near you. Especially if you're in Canada. This is a great starter yarn. Another great... Sorry, I'm rustling through a bag here. Another great starter yarn that's easily available, and I'm going to apologize for the white on white here, is the Bernat Premium. This is a Walmart exclusive yarn that you can get. I believe it's $3.99. Yes, I believe it's $3.99, $3.97, something like that. And you can get it at pretty much every Walmart in Canada. I believe you can get it in the US, and I know that there's also a brand called Mainstays, and I've heard a lot of good things about that, but we don't have Mainstays here in Canada. So Bernat Premium is a great beginner yarn. I recommend this. It's very similar to the Hobby Lobby yarn. It's not quite as soft, but I mean, it's pretty soft. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of smush in it. I've used this for baby blankets. My daughter, I've made a shawl out of it. So very great option. Also, guys, they have sparkle for our granny square cocoon. If you so choose to be blingy, this is totally okay. This is a great option. You can definitely go sparkles. There's nobody can tell you you can't have enough sparkle. All right, so another Michael's brand. This is going to be a little more than like the Craft Smart because the other one has so many more yards on it. Again, medium weight 4. That's what you're looking for. So this is Impeccable Solids. This is a tweed, and what a tweed is some definitions are different, but what I would consider a tweed is where you've got a solid with these like speckles, these like floofy speckles in it. I think it's very pretty. Tweed, totally fine for your granny square if that's what you want to use. So Impeccable is good. It's fairly soft. I know that after you wash it, it is very soft. It's a little more like, it's a little more stiff, but it's still really good. So your cardigan is definitely going to hold its shape pretty good. I mean, it'll still be drapey, but it's going to be a little more, I don't know, sturdy, dense. This is a very good option. They have a ton of colors, so, you know, go check that out. Just make sure that you're looking at your yards when you're picking yarn out as well, because you need to make sure you buy enough. And we'll talk about that in the next video when we get started. So another really good option that is extremely affordable is this big boy. This is called Lion Brand Pound of Love. It's definitely a pound of love. I have used this for a cardigan myself, and it turned out amazing. This is going to be, I think it's $11.99, not on sale with Canadian, so most of my prices are going to be in Canadian, just FYI. Is $11.99, and you can use a coupon on it, and sometimes they even go on sale for like $7.99 when they do their big ball sales at Michael's. So Pound of Love is great. One, you don't have to weave in your ends so much. Two, it is very soft. It is very similar to like the I Love This yarn. It's really nice. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's a lot of like heathered. So heathered is usually refers to where it's kind of like a blend of a couple colors. So there's like a really dark maroon and a lighter maroon in here. So it's very pretty. This is a great option as well. We have another one that's going to be a big ball that's a little more affordable is Red Heart Comfort. And we're going to talk about Red Heart Super Saver as well, because that is an option. I know a lot of people like Red Heart, and it's totally fine. I've used it. It's fine. This is fine. It's not quite as soft when you're working with it, but I do know that it washes up amazing, and it becomes fairly soft. This is the Red Heart Comfort. Again, like you can see big time right here, medium weight 4. I got this at Walmart when they were on sale. This is also a tweed like we just talked about, where it's got the little flex in here. This is a great option as well. yeah, it's just not quite as soft when you're working with it. Now when you wash it, that changes. So yeah, I think this was $10 for this guy. Yeah, so that's a good one. We're gonna get a little more pricey here. This is one of my absolute favorite yarns to ever work with. It is so silky. It is so soft. This is Patton Canadiana, and oh my goodness, I made my son a baby blanket with this. This is a leftover skein I had, and it is just the softest thing ever. It has a little bit of shine to it. When it washes, it drapes so nice. So for a kind of lacy cardigan like we're making, this is a fabulous option. Their color range is a little limited, but it is very nice. Yeah, and especially use the sales. So this is, again, medium weight 4, which is what you want to be using. So another option that is kind of new, so if let's say you're in the summertime and you want a cooler cardigan to be using, the Caron cotton cakes are very nice. Now, kind of in the skein, it's a little more, I mean, it's soft, but it's a little firmer. When it washes up very nicely. This is a cotton acrylic blend. So all the other yarns I showed you were all acrylic, and that's important because when you're going to wash your cardigan, you need it to be machine washable for your first project for sure, because you do not want to have to deal with either the shrinking or just all of the finicky hand washing. So this is a machine washable, and it's a cotton acrylic blend, and it's a medium weight 4. This is a fun option when it comes to Caron cakes and it comes to this pattern for your first project or one of your first project. Please, I know the stripes look beautiful. I know they're amazing. Trust me, I know this. Do not buy the stripes. We're going to be working in the round, and so your stripes are going to start out big and then they're going to get smaller. Some people will find that a little disappointing, so I would implore you to use a solid for this project. So let's say, let's just say we're in a pandemic. You know, maybe sometime we'd be in a pandemic. I'm not saying we're in one now, even though we are. So let's say there's a pandemic happening, such as there is now, and getting to the store is kind of a challenge, and you're not really sure what you're gonna do. Oh my goodness, do I order online? What do I do here? All right, there are a lot of online options. I recently ordered from Lovecrafts, and I ordered this beautiful baby, Paint Box Yarns. Oh my goodness, it is so light and soft. Now this isn't the worsted weight that they have. This is a DK, but I'm just showing this as an example so that you can kind of see what it looks like. So this is Paint Box Yarns. They have a ton of colors. Every color you can think of they have. They run sales all the time. It's very affordable, especially when they're running their sales. Your first time purchase is 15% off. So totally utilize that, and it does stack. So if the paint box is, let's say, 25% off, and then you can also use your 15% off your first order. So there you go. They also have like a loyalty program. So if you order, a lot of times they'll send you a 20% off coupon so that you order again. This is wonderful. I didn't have issues with the shipping. The only issue or at least with it getting here at a reasonable time, the only issue I had was that they were short one ball, but it wasn't even like 10 minutes and somebody got back to me and was like, all right, don't worry about it. We're sending you a new one. So sorry. So they dealt with it super fast and it came really quickly. So I really like these guys. They don't just sell their brand of yarn, they sell pretty much most of what I've shown you, except for like the Michaels or Hobby Lobby specific. So these are all really good options. Like I said, please use a solid when we're gonna do our cocoon. I also recommend an acrylic just so that the when you wash it, it's easy and you're not disappointed that you did all this work and then it shrunk or something happened. So a lot of good options. Always make sure it's a medium weight 4 or worsted weight yarn. Please avoid striping because we don't really want to deal with that for one of our first projects. Let's just keep it simple. Next up, we're going to talk about hooks. Ooh, that's noise. Whew. We're going to talk about our hooks. No crochet hook is the same across brands. There are two types of crochet hooks. There are end-line hooks and tapered hooks. I'm actually going to stand up for this one so we can get really close. All right. Whew. I'm going to show you the difference between the two so that when you're buying you can kind of see. So an inline hook, it's actually almost easier to see it in the Susan Bates and these guys. So an inline hook, you can tell when you look at the side, it's got a pretty sharp, sorry the focus is a little off, it's got a pretty sharp cut right here up into the hook, but the back is straight. So that's what shows an inline. That's an inline hook. A tapered hook does not have that cut, just one cut. It actually tapers, so both sides gradually get smaller and thinner as it goes up to the hook. So that's what shows a tapered hook. Which one do you pick? Well, that really just depends on how you hold your yarn, your tension, just the way you hold your hook. There's a lot of factors that go into which one is, I guess, best, and there really is no best. Figuring out what you want, now that's kind of up to you. You're just gonna have to experiment. My favorite are the end lines. I find that they don't split yarn as bad, and they're very comfortable, and most of the time they're more lightweight than the tapered hooks tend to be. And yeah, just for when I'm working with it. And also I've noticed that they don't have like that hooky lip on the end like a lot of tapers do. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a little lip down. I can't really explain it. It's more hooky. I don't know how to explain it. This is way more like straight, and this is a little more hooky. It's a terrible way of explaining it, but you know. Popular brands of both. Probably the most popular inline hook is the Susan Bates set. I love these guys. These are great. The other most popular, and I know it's harder to tell that it's an inline, is the Clover Soft Grip, but it is. See, the back is very straight, and then it cuts in. And again, there really isn't that hooky lip on the end. It's pretty straight. These are the soft touches are probably my favorite of all time because they're very light. There's just nice little grip. I hold my hook like a pencil, so it feels really nice. But the Susan Bates are very close second. The two most popular tapered are going to be the Boyle hooks, which are going to look a lot like this. This is just a big guy. And I know a ton of people love the Boyle hooks, just absolutely adore them. I don't like them, but again, that's because it's a tapered, not a inline. The other more popular is like, I know Boyle has a very similar, where it's got this like rubber grip on it, or silicone grip on it. But this is a Michaels brand. It's very similar, and it's a tapered hook. These are heavier, so if you don't want to have to hold something super weighty in your hand, this is not for you. I just stick with something like this. But a lot of crocheters love these hooks. They just love them. So try them out. These do cost more. In general, anything that's going to be heavier with a grip is going to cost more. So here's my recommendation if you are just starting. Don't worry about that. Get this. I got this. This was $14.99 Canadian at Michaels, regular price, and I used a 40% off coupon. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hooks in a range, a perfect range for when you're just starting. You will have every hook that you're going to need for very basic patterns, I promise you, and very basic yarn weights. So this is wonderful. It's affordable. The hooks are great. They are comfortable. They are light. It's a good place to start. If you get them and you find out that inline is not for you, again, it wasn't that much. and you can go and you can try, you get one tapered hook that's in the size that you use the most, or that your pattern calls for, or that your gauge calls for. But I do recommend the Susan Bates. They're wonderful. Let's talk about here, kind of wrapping up the last few things that we're going to need for our cocoon cardigan. Scissors. They don't have to be cute little unicorn scissors like mine. These I just, you know, impulse bought at Hobby Lobby when I was visiting. Any small scissors I do recommend, just because they're portable. So if you've got any smaller scissors, you know, you can, anything that's going to cut it cleanly. You want a clean cut when you're cutting your yarn, because you're going to need a darning needle and or a yarn needle. And what that is it's basically kind of a big chunky needle that's either metal or plastic. A lot of times they're bigger than this. I just like the smaller ones. As long as the eye of your needle is big enough to fit your yarn through, you're fine. And we're going to be using this to weave in our ends when we have to add another ball on, or we're switching sections in a pattern. So the last thing that we're going to need, well, this is a little more optional, but I do recommend if you're starting, is to get some stitch markers. Stitch markers are these little plastic, sometimes metal clips that are used to help you find your place in a pattern. For the granny square cocoon pattern, you have the option to use them for the corners to help see them easier. They are very inexpensive and they are very helpful. So, you know, I would, if you can afford it, just go get a pack, because in other patterns you will need these, just to keep an eye on where you are. So the last thing that you're going to want is a measuring tape. These are super cheap, a couple bucks, sometimes $1. You can use a ruler. I recommend these guys. They're just a little more portable, and the fact that it's a flexible tape just makes it nicer. You're going to need this for checking the size of your square when we get there, and also if you have a pattern that requires something called gauge, which is a measurement you take to make sure that your work is matching the same size as what the pattern calls for, so that the sizing matches up, so that when you make a large, you're actually making a size large. So this is great for our pattern that we're going to be doing. Gauge isn't really important. What's important is just like the finished dimensions, and since it's just a pattern repeat around and around, it's not a huge deal as long as you get to whatever the dimensions it's going to call for your size. That's all that matters with this pattern, which is why it's a great beginner. Less to worry about. So I hope all of this information will be helpful as you decide on what you will be using for your granny square cocoon. I know it was a lot of information, but everything we talked about is going to help you have an easier time with the pattern, and you will be less likely to give up and quit because you didn't have the right tools or the yarn you had was incorrect. So now that we are all prepared, we're all ready to go, we're going to get started with our pattern in the next video. See you then.